Back up here at Desert Valley Auto Parts, their location up in Black Canyon City. I thought I'd come up and see what else they had laying around today. And the first thing that caught my eye was this car right here out front. As you can see, it's a 1971. In this case, it's a Mustang convertible. And they point out on the glass right there that if this is a 302, it's an F code. There's just one problem when you look under the hood. Yeah, that's missing. But this is just an example of some of the stuff we're going to see as we walk around here today. So let's start off with some more Fords. In this case, it's a Ranchero. This particular one, I believe, is like 1971 or so. What does it say? Yeah, 71 is what it says on the window. And as you can see, somebody was already starting to do some restoration work. They were sanding it down. So it's basically intact for the most part. Although, yes, you're going to have to do an awful lot of restoration work. But at least the body, for what it's worth, is pretty much intact. We got plenty of Pintos over here. There's a 77 on the bottom, station wagon. Oh, there's a cool Pinto right over here. Let's go check it out. It's a Pinto. I'm not even going to call it a station wagon. Well, we have an LTD. Now, when we talk about rust here at Desert Valley Auto Parts, we're talking about surface rust. For the most part, we don't have to contend with the kind of rust that Steve Magnante has to deal with back in Massachusetts. 65 Thunderbird right there. I love these things. So this was a product that actually Ford made. It was a Pinto station wagon, but remember the old panel trucks? That's exactly what they did with this. They put the panel side. This was a product that actually came from Ford. And because back then, the concept of having a round window on the back of your van was very hot, they decided to do the same thing with this Pinto wagon. You could actually get these from the factory like this. Just an interesting thing that they did with the Pintos. You say you like Firebirds? Well, forget the Trans Am. How about the Firebird Esprit? There we see it right there. This particular one is a 1979. You know, they made a lot of different versions of Firebirds over the year. The Esprit, of course, not the Trans Am, but still pretty cool. I love the striping on the side, the brown, those earth tones. Yeah, this was the 70s. So let's go back in the area where they're trying to sell the cars for the most part intact. I mean, every car, of course, has been parted out to some degree, but some of these cars in this particular area are cars that they're hoping to sell as one big unit. Of course, there you see we've got a, this was sort of the mediocre era of the Thunderbirds. I think this is a 1969. They'd gone to four doors, or I should say four seaters. You know, in the late 50s, 58 is when they first started with the four seaters. Some people think they really lost their way when they went with these Thunderbird Landaus. How about a 66 Ford Galaxy sedan? We got Chevrolets over here, Oldsmobiles, another one of those Landau style Thunderbirds. We did a video on this a while back. This 1971 Torino convertible GT. It's pretty cool. Oh, check that out. Another one of those Pintos with the oval window in the back. I should say the round window in the back. California Special Mustang. Yes, it's definitely seen better days. I can tell you that. What else is back here as we look around? Something interesting. And you can see they all have prices on there. In this case, this one's going for $3,250. We've got a Lincoln Mercury 78. Then we see we've got a Vega in the corner. We've got this W25 Oldsmobile. That's another one we already did a video on. How about the Mustang 2? Yeah, you don't see many of those in car shows. These were actually very popular in their day, and they're really popular in terms of the front suspension that people are still using, the Mustang 2 style front suspension. Got a Pinto wagon, got a Camaro. How about this Ford? In this case, it's a 1966. You can buy it for $3,750 right next to this 1980 Pontiac Firebird. That'll cost you $4,500. And somebody's going to say, wait a minute, these prices are outrageous. Well, you have to figure, what's it going to cost you to get an intact chassis? Now, granted, the entire interior needs to be stripped out. Massive amounts of body work needs to be done. But for what it's worth, the glass appears to be intact. And even the T-top glass appears to be intact. I think it's somewhat ironic that we should see the final resting place for a hearse. That's right. In this case, it's a 1974 Cadillac hearse that was done as a conversion. And yes, the final resting place for a vehicle that took so many people to their final resting place. All right, this is the part of Desert Valley where these cars are strictly being parted out. As you can see, this one has had, this is a 1966 Mustang, had pieces of it that have been cut out. The rear has been cut out. Not much left on the inside. I'm sure there's a few parts you could find. Well, for example, the door. You've got these faux louvers on the side. Up on top, I think that's a 1967. There we got a 70 on top. Plenty of Mustangs around here. And once again, if you're looking for a particular part, that's exactly what you're going to come here for. because this is the place you can go to. But check that out. Sitting on top of this one right here, we've got a Mach 1. Yeah, think about how valuable that could be if you could pull it off and bring it back to life. But once again, this is a car that's strictly being parted out. By the way, I talked about the Mustang II front suspension and how popular it's been for the hot rodding world. Not necessarily those that came out of original Mustang IIs, but the style, because they were easy to kind of take apart and remount as a result. This is the kind of suspension, once again, this is on an original Mustang II, but it's been replicated. You see an awful lot of hot rodders using today. I don't know about you, but I am a Cougar fan. Now, I have to say I prefer probably the earlier Cougars before they got into the, what should I call it, the shaver front grille. But there's no shortage of later model Cougars that we see here at Desert Valley Auto Parts. Yeah, once this early 70s Cadillac Eldorado was the epitome of luxury. And today, well, not quite as much. Not sure what caused that windshield to go, whether it was an accident or whatever the problem was, but definitely this Eldorado has seen better days. We all have those certain cars that, attract our attention, and this is one that really grabs mine. I love this. This is a 1965 Chevrolet Impala. Now, this is the year that they radically changed the body style for this car, and how I love the fact that this one has the fastback style. There's a bunch of them around here. I think if I look ahead, there's actually I think this is maybe a 66. Nope, this has side markers. So I'm gonna guess it's about a 68. Yeah, that's correct. This one is a 67. And this is the station wagon version of the full size. I love the way that looks. This is a 1968 model. Now this one is not the fastback, it's a 4-door. But once again, one of my favorite body styles of all time with that 1965 and up Impala. You say you're a Mopar fan? Well, there's definitely no shortage of them around here. How about the hood from a 1974 Duster Dart Sport? Oh, how about a Roadrunner? This one I think is from the early 70s, let's say 73 or so. Can I see on the glass? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. How about a 73? I think this is a Plymouth Satellite. And check this out. Somebody at some point did some flame work on the side. It wasn't enough to, keep it running for a long period of time, but I can tell you, I did driver's training in a 1971 Plymouth Satellite, very similar to that one. Got the rear clip on a Challenger. Oh, and speaking of Roadrunners, I think we got another one. In this case, I think it's a 1974. It's still got the sticker up front. It's got an Edelbrock 4-barrel carburetors. And we've got the stripe down the side. Yeah, this one's got a little more rust. Doesn't look like it's spent its entire life here in Arizona, but it is indeed a real deal Roadrunner. I'd recognize that beak anywhere. In this case, it was the non-painted chrome version. That's because this is a 69 Le Mans. It is not the GTO, but they shared the same styling. However, this one, as you can see, yeah, some serious flame action. I'm not sure what happened, but this did not meet a pleasant end. I mentioned that Landau Thunderbird. This is from the earlier range. Sometimes we call these the flare birds. Sort of the mid-60s kind of era. Probably one of the best era for the 4-seaters, but as you can see, we've got just about every generation of Thunderbird laying around. You say you're a Firebird fan and you didn't recognize that right off the bat? Well, I'm so ashamed of you. There you see it a little bit more from the side. This particular one's from 1974. We got a 73, part of the second generation of the Firebirds. There we've got a 78, by 78 of course. They had gone to this longer, wider look with the headlights inset. Call this the Smoky and the Bandit era for the Firebird. Oh, but check this out over here. Kind of a little faint to read on the back, but there it says it, the magic words, Trans Am. So this particular one is from 1979. It's got the scoop on top. It's got those cool headlights, mostly intact. No shortage of El Caminos here at Desert Valley. Now, most of what we see, quite frankly, are the 4th generation, the second to the last generation of the El Camino. And that's possibly because I think this is, well, I won't say it's not loved. It is not as well loved, for example, as the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or even the last generation. But if you're looking for something fun, getting your hands on a next to the last generation of the El Camino is actually a fun thing to do. And out here at Desert Valley Auto Parts, well, once again, there's no shortage of them. The most popular El Camino, well, it has to be the 1968 through 72 model. This particular one is a 1970. This was absolutely the high water mark. As you can see, this one sitting next to, well, another one of those 3rd generations. And look, there's another one sitting up there. I think that's a 68 or 70, yeah, 68. So this is the most popular body style. When these are restored, boy, with the right engine, everything done right, these can bring big dollars. This one, as you can see though, Yeah, it's missing a few parts, but you can also see exactly what that front suspension looks like in a 70 El Camino. Where do Camaros go to die? Well, this is one of the places. In fact, right here, we've got a lot of the 70s era Camaros, as you can see. Actually, an awful lot of parts that are still available on these things. So if you were looking for parts for a mid to late 70s, possibly into the 80s Camaro, there's definitely no shortage, well, at the very least, of spoilers on the back of these things. All right, that's it for today's short walkabout here at Desert Valley Auto Parts, their Black Canyon City location. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to do some more in-depth looks at some of these cars, but I want to know what ones you want to see. If there's one of these cars that we walked around that suddenly caught your attention and you want to know more about it, let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, if you want to see more great junkyard crawls, well, you can watch them on my channel, but you can definitely see them on Steve Manante's channel. He is the junkyard king. He knows everything about all these cars. And he just knows it all up here, just flows right out of him. So once again, like and subscribe to my channel and then head on over to Steve Manante's channel.